Have you ever wondered about your professional brand, how to develop and maintain it? Whether you're a college student, business professional, artist, or lawyer, we all have a brand. These brands, both personally and professionally, are your lasting trademarks or impressions on the world and your environment. They reflect your values and principles, and most importantly, how you engage with others. For me, my brand is STEM entrepreneurship, teaching, science, leadership and mentorship, and STEM policy. These labels or titles help to define my professional STEM image and allow people to garner a sense of who I am professionally and sometimes personally. For me, my professional brand is a representation of the alignment between my purpose, position, and passion. So, what is your brand? What does it say to the world about who you are, why you are, and where you are? Today, I'm going to share some tips on how to develop your own professional STEM brand, how to allow that brand to represent your authentic self, and the benefits and barriers to maintaining that brand. Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Ashley Huderson, and today I'm going to talk to you about personal branding and how to use it to create a professional image. I want you to walk away from this presentation thinking to yourself, what do you bring to the world? So before we can talk about a professional brand, specifically your STEM professional brand, we have to think through what is a brand in itself. A brand is the way a company, organization, or individual is perceived by those who experience it. More than simply a name, a term, design, or symbol, a brand is the recognizable feeling a product or business actually invokes. So if we lose this definition, there are different types of brands. You have commercial brands, professional brands, and personal brands. Commercial brands are everything that makes an organization exactly the organization it is. When we think of different commercial products like Starbucks, Coca-Cola, Apple, or Nike, when I say those names, you automatically envision the company, what they stand for, as well as their products. This is branding. Personal branding is everything influencing the identity of the individual personally. So for me, as a researcher, an advocate, a dog mom, a fashionista, and someone who loves to travel, all of those things make up my personal brand. They are the things that influence my identity, that are important to me, and that I hold dear. Professional branding is everything influencing the identity of the business professional in their career or workplace. So these are things such as your schools you've attended, any professional workshops, professional mentors you've had, even your work environment in your company. These things influence your business identity, and they are responsible for helping you create your professional brand. So if we had to define your brand, you want to ask yourself, who are you? What do you do? And how will people remember you? So your professional brand defines who you are, which is your name. For me, that's Dr. Ashley Huderson. What you do, your accomplishments, your job, your academics. I'm the Director of Engineering Education and Outreach at the American Society of Mechanical Engineers. I'm an adjunct professor at a local HBCU in Washington, D.C., and I'm also an entrepreneur. And how people remember you. So this talks about your unique skills, your personality, and your specialties. So if I had to put titles or labels on myself to define my professional brand, as I've mentioned, I'm an academic, an entrepreneur, a researcher, and an advocate. Now, I didn't wake up and decide that these titles were who I was, or this was a part of my brand. It took years of cultivating and building experiences, building on each other to really allow me to have the words to express who I felt I was professionally. And so that basically ties into who I am. I am a New Orleans native, and in 2002, I graduated from Spelman College. While attending Spelman College, I majored in chemistry, and I found that my love of STEM developed there. But I had no idea what I would go on to do. So if you had asked me at the time what my professional brand was, I would have told you I was a college graduate. I then went on to Meharry Medical College, where I completed my PhD in 2013. There, I was exposed to, in addition to my PhD work, I was exposed to a larger space around science, and I entered into the policy field. I was exposed to STEM policy from a healthcare perspective, as well as different diversity, equity, and inclusion issues that affected historically excluded groups when it comes to medicine, science, and research. So as I matriculated through Meharry, my brand began to grow. I was no longer just the New Orleans native who graduated from Spelman. I was now the New Orleans native who graduated from Spelman, who also is a scientist. Upon completing my PhD in 2013, I took a postdoctoral position at Georgetown University, where I became a where I was tasked with overseeing clinical trials. In doing this, I was exposed to different individuals who were coming in to do different types of testing. When those individuals were speaking to me, they were more fascinated about the fact that I had a PhD than the actual clinical trials they signed up to take. And this prompted me to wonder why. And when I talked to them, they were really intrigued about my age, my gender, and my race. They had never seen a young Black woman with a PhD in front of them. So this also prompted me to want to teach, and this experience allowed me to step into my adjunct position at the University of the District of Columbia here in DC. These two experiences really propelled my STEM policy interest, because it allowed me to step into STEM education. I began to question who we educated about STEM, how we educated them, and why. And this interest in those three aspects led me to a 2015 AAAS Science and Technology Policy Fellowship at the National Science Foundation. Through this fellowship, I took a deep dive into STEM education, policies around STEM education, as well as learning more about the education landscape through grant funding. In 2017, I joined my current company, ASME, as the manager of engineering education. In doing so, I was able to take on another role of STEM education, the STEM education stakeholder group, by allowing myself to step into this space where I was developing programs and initiatives to help other people develop their interest in engineering. So through all of those experiences, through all of those years, I was slowly building my professional brand, and each experience added on to who I was. And so that allowed me to become the academic, the entrepreneur, the advocate, and the researcher that you see today. So if you're still asking yourself, what exactly is the professional brand? It's everything that makes you exactly the professional you are. So every professional has a brand, and you get to define your own professional brand. If you don't define it, your boss, your coworkers, or your friends will decide for you, and that's something you don't want. Everything about you as a person, as seen in professional context, relates to your professional brand. It's how and what you think, say, do, watch, wear, eat, drink, and drive. It's your personality, your skills, your education, accomplishments, work history, your character, your belief system, and your values. It's where you live, your tastes and preferences, how you act, and how you lead. It's your professional goal. Now, we live in 2021, and thankfully for us, 2021 has allowed us to fully embrace social media. The 20th century really allowed for that. And so social media allows us to expand our brand, as opposed to only having in-person or face-to-face interactions. We can use social media to help expand our brand. And different platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn were all designed to do that. While all four of them are not designed for professional branding, LinkedIn and Twitter are your strongest advocates for doing this. For Twitter, you have a sense of balance and creativity. You can generate a conversation, you can follow people in your different industries, you can interact with them, you can talk to people, shout them out if noticed. You can also share things professionally as well as personally, and it not be seen as taboo. LinkedIn is purely professional image, and it helps to maintain business contacts. It helps you to get introduced to individuals. It also allows people to recommend and endorse you. You can find jobs and other postings related to your field. So when you decide to develop your personal brand, you want to ask yourself 4 things. You want to figure out what you want others to know you for. You want to understand what you're best at and maximize that. And you want to create your own reputation so that people look for you. And lastly, you want to treat your personal brand as something important and valuable, because it's what makes you you. And you are the only you there is. The last piece of advice I would give you in developing your professional brand is to bring your authentic self to your brand. Being authentic not only helps you feel genuine and feel good about yourself, it also inspires someone else who may be having second thoughts or doubting whether or not they can show up as their authentic self. If you love purple hair, sometimes you have to show up with purple hair, and you may be leading the way for other people with purple hair to show up. But being your authentic self allows you to be genuine. It allows people to know who you are and know who they're interacting with, and removes all facades or pretense around any assumptions they may have had. So I asked you at the beginning of this presentation to think through, what do you bring to the world? And I still pose that question to you. As you're developing your brand, think about who you are, why you are, and what you are, and use that as motivation to carve out your own professional brand. Thank you for joining me today. And if you have more questions, I can be reached at the following platforms. And I look forward to hearing from you and learning more about your professional